All right, let's start the third session, part 9. We're going to dive into the different exit strategies that get involved with note investing. Now, exit strategies, here's the magical exit strategy. I wish every note I bought would go to the reperforming side. And we give our borrowers plenty of opportunities to reperform. Do they do that? No. Do they? Are deals that I buy that I expect to get reperforming turn into non-performing notes that turn into foreclosures and short sales and deed in lieu? Yeah, it's a variety of strategies. Here's the thing you have to realize. Sometimes you got to figure out what works best for you guys, what's best for your business model. That'll also help dictate what you kind of target and what kind of due diligence you do. So like somebody was asking for a perfect thing that drops stuff in. Look, what do you want for your portfolio? And let's build it out for that, okay? If you're wanting reperforming notes or cash flow notes, then you're gonna be chasing occupied assets where the borrowers made payments sometime in the last 6 months. They made some payments over the last 12 months, all right? Where rent rates are higher, okay? They've lived in the house for a while. They have no equity, all right? Those are some of the things you look at. But the exit strategy side, as we go through some things, you need to kind of know. So and don't be surprised if one strategy you think out, you end up having to evolve into, okay, I'm going to offer deed in lieu or foreclosures. And here's the thing too, everybody. I've heard some investors talk about, I've only had one note that I foreclosed on the last 12 months. Okay, or the last 12 years, whatever, that just means you're not doing enough. Yes, you can offer deed in lieu, cash for keys, but that's a friendly foreclosure. It's the same thing. You're going to have some stuff. You're going to have sometimes borrowers that are trying to you give them an inch, they try to take a mile. So keep that in mind and have flexibility. Now, the beautiful thing with your vendors, we'll get to this later on. If you have a servicing company, you can dictate to your servicing company, hey, this is what I'd like to try to get. These are the systems I'd like to get to. Yeah, I'm willing to offer this automatically, or I'm being flexible back and forth. Let's communicate and go from there. But we'll talk more about that in a minute. So if we pull up our manual. And we'll just start with it here. We did a Note Night in America webinar, exit strategy videos. A lot of people love it. It's one of our top, I think, 10 videos that people have watched out there. There's the link for it. Kind of goes through and breaks down each of the 10 different strategies that are available. The first strategy that you can do, it's so easy. If you've got a list of people, contacts out there, they're looking for deals, you can wholesale notes. We wholesale some notes. We'll get a list in, we'll help people move it. We'll help funds move it. We do this from time to time. We'll buy a portfolio. Okay, we'll wholesale a couple deals off that to somebody else to get some more capitalization back relatively quick, or make it a sweeter deal across the board. And you could charge a flat fee, $500, $1,000, $250. A percentage point, 1 to 3 points is kind of normal on a wholesale fee. If you're getting a sizable chunk on stuff, you may want to do a double closing. And what I mean by double closing, well, basically, you have a contract with a bank. You have a wholesale agreement. Let's say Wesley's going to buy a deal from me. I got his note deal. I haven't negotiated 25 grand as my purchase price. Okay, but I don't want to make 3 points, and I don't want to make $750. Well, let's say the asset's worth 100. So let's say I'm going to wholesale the deal to Wesley for 50. Now at 50, it's still a great deal to Wesley. We can all agree that. But I don't want him seeing exactly what I'm making. So what I do is I would take the contract that I get from, let's just say, ABC Bank. I would replicate it, but change some of the names and the amounts up to 50K. All right. And then I'd have Wesley sign on the 50K. Well, Wesley's then going to wire in to an escrow account. When that money hits, then I'm going to wire the 25 grand to ABC Bank. And then I'll instruct ABC Bank, hey, I need you to make out the assignment docs, the assignment of mortgage, the allonge into Wesley's entity. Now, sometimes they'll do it. Other times they won't. And if they won't, they say, well, no, we got to go by what's on the contract. Okay, fine. Then I'll have to recreate a new assignment and allonge. And then when I send that, when ABC Bank sends me that, I'm going to send those to Wesley. So he's going to have 2 assignments to record. But the thing is, he doesn't know what I end up paying for the note. Other people don't care sometimes. So there'll just be a 1-page wholesaling fee and say, okay, he's going to pay me a $25,000 wholesaling fee that has to be either wire escrow or wire directly to me. And I won't release the instructions. I won't release to the bank that their contract is with me that, okay, it's okay to to send it over as well too. So that's the thing. Inside of our virtual workshop, virtual buying workshop, we've got all the contracts, wholesale and fees, loan sale agreements. That's there for you too. If you need a loan sale agreement, great. We'll send you one that's editable, tweak it. For the most part, you're just going to take the seller's contract if you're doing a double closing, where their deal funds your transaction, and you purchase that versus 2 wires. Just varies. Brand new investors, brand new buyers for me, I would always do a double closing where it's 2 contracts to protect yourself. Okay. Second exit strategy besides wholesaling. Wait, are there any questions about wholesaling? Here's the thing about wholesaling. You need to know that it's a deal. You need to leave plenty of meat on the bone. Effective wholesalers know what's going on in the deal. They've already due diligence. What will happen sometimes is people will just throw shit against the wall. You get a list in from somebody. I'm not saying I'm trying to market it and try to squeeze in. No. Know what you have. The more effective that what you have, especially with your buyers list, what states they're looking for. It's one of the big things we ask. Hey, what are your top 3 states to buy in? Okay, great. So we see stuff in those states. We'll send it to you. We'll figure out, though, what we're looking at pricing-wise and know what those deals look like before we ever send them over for the most part. All right? If you can wholesale, though, it's all about marketing, have a database. You can usually raise capital relatively easy. Just a matter of changing the conversation from me selling it to you partnering with me on it. Okay? Now, the second strategy, obviously, is you'll hear a term, a lingo called RPC, right party contact. Now, when you buy a note, your servicer should automatically start dialing out to your borrowers, and they're going to try to get them to start reinstate the loan, to start paying the existing payment. Not pay it, maybe not come to with a full amount back due, but can you start paying the existing terms of the loan on time? And you're seeing a lot of that with forbearance agreements right now, where people are taking, 6 months of loan payments and putting on the back end of the loan, okay? You should always have a licensed servicer do this for you. You should not be self-servicing at all. You do not need to be collecting payments, okay? Let the licensed people, the people that do this for a living, go out and do that. Now, one of the things is servicers will often have a couple different services. They'll have a cost for performing notes, which is relatively the cheapest, $20 to $25 per note per month. Non-performing, full collection services, which would be $95 a month, where they're calling out 4 to 6 times a week or month. They're doing all the workouts. And then you also have non-collection, where they're just boarding the loan, and you have a third-party team doing the workouts. Now, I have a third-party team. You can use like law office of Daniel Singer. If you've got an attorney or a aggressive workout company that will do this, there's some of these third-party vendors that do short-term contracts, like 90 days for reach out. I happen to have I'm very lucky to have a team member who worked for Madison Management for many years, and now she does all my outreach. That's valuable. When you start off, when you're building things, look, do yourself a favor. You're not going to call the banks. I know everybody, I want to call the borrowers. I want to do the negotiations because I'm such a badass negotiator. No, you don't. And I have students like, I'm talking to the borrower. Why are you talking to the borrower? You're not licensed, and you could say something stupid that's going to get you in trouble if they're smart. Let your freaking attorney or your servicing company handle that, okay? But a performing strategy is where, hey, reaching out of some sort, start paying the payments on time again. All right, we'll take the 6 months or the year behind, put in the face amount. If you can start paying the existing payments on that. Usually want the borrower to bring a little bit of skin in the game to the table. $2 grand, $3 grand, 4 months of payments. The more the merrier, the better. Or, hey, the more you bring to the table, for every payment you make, for every dollar you make, I'll forgive 2. Something like that. There's a lot of great things to help incentivize. Now, that leads us into loan modifications and trial payment plans. All right. Here's the big thing. When your servicing company is reaching out to your borrowers, you're always going to put them on a TPP. That's a trial payment plan. 6 months, 12 months. Here's the reason you don't modify immediately. If you modify immediately, and they set off a loan mod, let's say they owed $130 on a $100,000 house, and you're like, okay, loan mod, we're just interest rates, and we're going to forgive you the 30 grand and just make the loan 100. Well, if they stop paying in month 1, month 2, whenever, you can't go back and collect on that 130. You've already modified the loan. So what you do is you do a 6-month, preferably a 12-month trial payment plan. That after 12 months, then you can do a permanent mod. Okay? There's things you can do. You can do a payment plan with lump sum or extra payments each month. You can drop the interest rate down. I would not drop the interest rate down until they've made payments for at least a year. I will never drop the interest rate down immediately. Okay, you got to prove that you can do this. After 12 months, then we'll drop it down a point or two. Somebody reach out, I want a 5% interest rate. I'm like, sorry, go get 5% at the bank then. That's not feasible. I'm not going to give you something that you can't go get yourself. Great, work on paying your payments on time. We'll report to credit bureaus, and then you can go refinance me out in 12 months. Okay? Here's the thing. If you go to a loan modification immediately, you trigger a taxable event at the end of the year for you guys. If you get somebody to do a loan modification immediately, that's then treated as recast loan, and then you have to treat it like it's a short-term capital gain. If you bought a note at 25, let's go back and use a number like what Wesley said, our last deal. So if Wesley buys that note for me at 50, and then he's able to get the borrower to modify the loan to 100 grand, well, guess what? You got to pay taxes on that short-term capital gain of 50 to 100. Even though you haven't received $1, the IRS wants you to pay taxes. What you would need to do is have a third party reevaluate that loan and say, oh no, this asset's only worth, say, 55 grand because they modified it. You paid 54 and you want to receive 5 grand in payments or something like, that thing. Do a trial payment plan that at 12 months and a day. On that day, it turns into a long-term capital gain, much better for your taxes. Okay. So keep that in mind. It's important with your trial payment plans and loan modifications. Well, what if they bring a lot of money to the table? Leave it as a trial payment plan until 12 months. At that date, do a lot of things. So I'll do like after 12 months, great. We'll modify the loan down to what the value of the property is. Oh, it's worth 100. You owe 130. We'll forgive 30 grand at that point, but we're not going to forgive you, Mr. Borrower, or you, Mrs. Borrower. Have to complete these 12 months of payments. You got to do what you say you're going to do before I'm going to do what I do. Otherwise, we're just going to go the legal route. Okay. Now, I will offer up a loan payment, an early payoff, a loan payoff, short payoff. Help pay me off. Okay, I'll forgive the months you're behind if you pay me off. And you can do 1 month, 3 months. I've done a variety. Somebody wanted to pay off their 42 grand. Okay, make 3 $14,000 payments, but you don't get, if you miss the third one, hey, you're still owed. Yeah, you can put that credit towards it, but you're still going to owe. You don't get paid off. Okay. You do a loan assumption. You can do a short payoff if you want to give them a discount and you paid cheap enough for the loan. I've done that before. I paid 10 grand for the loan. The house, they owe 40. The house is worth, 40. Great. Tell you what, if you bring me 30, I'll forgive it if you make it done in 30 days. That's still a great deal. Okay. Loan assumptions. Every loan you do, you can allow the borrower to let somebody assume it. Most people thought that ended in 85 or was only with VA loans. No, you're the bank. You can allow the borrower to take over the payment. You allow their son, their daughter, their spouse, and a deceased. So you want to start, or family members. Oh, you want to take over the payments? Okay, start paying on time. Let's just set this up and put you on. Fill out a qualification form and let's make sure and get you on there. Okay. I would have an MLO write that paperwork with either, do a full 1003 application or stuff like that as well too with a loan assumption. You can short sale the property. Okay. All right. Here's a big thing. If they're living in the property, great. We'll do a short sale, but it's got to be your agent that you hire. Sri has a question. If you are doing a trial payment plan where you are not reducing EBV but reducing arrears, for example, arrears 20K, forgiving arrears, is that a taxable for me as a lender? No, it's not taxable till they've done it. Okay. Here's the thing. You would have to send them a 1099 for that 10 grand that you forgive, or 1099 or 1098. Okay. It's not a taxable event because you didn't make any money on it. If you bought it at 50 and you forgave 10, it's not a taxable event to you as a lender. Okay. It's a taxable event to the borrower, So file 1099. And what you got to realize is, some people are like, well, I can't afford it. I don't want to be, deficiency. Well, you're not saying, I'm just 1099 you. Fill out IRS form 928, I think is the IRS form 928 or 298 or 282, whatever. I'm not an accountant. So they fill out, it shows to be insolvency, meaning they have more going out than coming in, then they won't pay taxes on any type of debt that you forgive. Okay. But going back to exit strategy number 7, short sales. If they have a realtor and they're trying to sell the property, then you need to talk to the realtor. Okay, how many showings have you seen? What kind of traffic? Okay, what's it listed at? Are you listed at full value? Well, nobody's going to buy a short sale at full value. You got to list it. If I'm going to have a short sale listed, I want it to be at 80, 85%, so I get foot traffic in. So usually if it's at 80, 85% of value, then I have multiple offer situation, then price is going up, it's no concessions, and we'll still meet at like 90, 95. Okay? So that's the big thing. And they got to be able to show the house. I'm not going to wait for the borrower to approve visits. I'm not going to do that. It's come as we go. You got to keep the house in good shape. We'll give you basically a 2-hour notice. But if we're going to do a short sale, we're going to do it done. And if the realtor is a shitty realtor, and my shitty realtor is a friend who's dragging it out, look, I've been able to drag out short sales for 4 years before when we ran a short sale negotiation company. All right. There's things you can do. But here's the thing. If they got multiple offers and they were dealing with the previous bank, I want to see those offers. Who can close? If we can approve this thing, if we approve this and the buyers are bringing a true cash offer and close in 7 to 10 days, let's get this thing done. All right. Done plenty of short sales. We do about 1 a month on average. Sure, sometimes it's more, just depends on what's on our portfolio. But yeah, it'll have that happen and it can go from there. And I'm willing to take a little bit of a discount off of the payoff balance to make it happen. Of course, I'm always going to make sure that I'm selling the property well above what I'm into it for as far as the loan balance and the rearages and stuff like that. So you keep that in mind. Take a look at your estimated HUD, make closing docs, what you would net compared to what you paid for the deal and what you're into it for. Make sure that number is always higher. Okay? Short sales are actually really nice for you. Deed in lieu foreclosure. Here's the thing. If I had a borrower with short selling property and they were getting no views, it needed work, I would say, listen, just deed the property over to me and walk away. Short sale, you're not going to get anything anyway. So let's figure out a deed in lieu and get you walking. Let's get you moving. Okay? Cash for keys, I'll give you $5,000 to move out of the property. Always check your title, ensure that there's not other liens behind you, or if there are other liens behind you, if you're comfortable paying those off or getting those reduced. If there is a big second mortgage behind you, then you'd want, instead of doing a deed in lieu foreclosure, you do want a consent to judgment, cash for consent, where they basically say, yes, we're consenting to the first lien. This helps you expedite the foreclosure to foreclose out the second. And in those cases, I'll try to buy the second lien for $1,000 to $1,500. So listen, you're not going to get anything if I foreclose, so you might as well settle with me or sell the note to me relatively cheap. Okay? But a consent to judgment, not hard. Your attorney's going to help out with that. Cash for keys, the same thing. Hey, they don't get the cash until the keys are in hand. And always, always, always make sure that the property is required to be clean. All right? Now, if a borrower leaves a property and leave it trashed out or leave trash in it, I'm not going to pay them their cash. They didn't do what they said. All right? You got to clean the stuff out. Now, here's a big thing, too, that you guys may not realize. When you have tenants, some of you guys have rental properties, you've had bad tenants that have moved out, left trash in there, or you had to, repair the carpet or the thing by painting or stuff like that, or it costs you $1,500 to clean out the property. I'll send my tenants a 1099 come the first of the year. I'll send them a tax statement for the cost of the clean out and the cost to repair what they did, whatever damage. Okay. I sent them. If they didn't pay me rent, I'll add in the rent that they didn't pay, and then offset, I'll whatever offset the deposit was, but I'll send them for what they owe. It makes more sense for me to write that off my taxes and then pay taxes on that amount versus me trying to get a deficiency judgment. So yes, state that one more time. If you have a debt, you can do the same thing for deadbeat borrowers. If you do a deed in lieu or a cancellation of contract, we'll send a 1099 for the back payments that are not paid. Yep. That's income. It's a taxable event. It's a benefit. All right. Now, if they worked with me and they've been helpful and they leave the house really good, I'm not going to send out 1099 for it, even if it needs a little bit of work. But if they clean it up and they did their job, great. I'm working with them. If I'm forgiving letting them walk from 120 grand or 50 grand in debt, hey, they need to work with me on this. I always need to get photos too. If it's trashed out, I'm not going to accept a deed in lieu. I will foreclose and try to go after it. That way I have a second action. to go after, okay? Always want to have your realtor or attorney take care of that if possible. You can always sell your asset to another investor. If you're working, you bought a note, you're working through it, and it's going to be, turns out it's going to turn to a foreclosure, or you thought it was going to be a relatively quick REO, and it turns into a long-term mod, and the terms aren't good for you, or sell the note to somebody else, sell it to another investor. You can mark it up 5, 10, 20%. That's what you pay for it, how much work you put into it. But you've added value by having a servicer and knowing the real story of the deal. Now, one thing you want to be careful of is looking at assets that an investor's had for a while and they think thinking your strategy is going to be better than theirs. Okay. Here's the thing. I had a student of mine call me up. She's like, "Oh, I'm going to buy a note from this other investor." And I was like, "Okay, what's your plan?" "Well, my plan is to buy that note and get reperforming." I'm like, "Okay, how many payments has that previous borrower made?" And they're like, "Oh, they only made 4 in 12 months. I'm like, "Okay." And I know the seller, they're a seasoned investor. If they are only lucky enough to get 4 months of payments, the chance that you get all 12 months is not very likely. So you're technically looking at your turn, you're probably gonna get 4 months of payments in 12 months, not 12. So what's your ROI? She's like, "Oh, that's really low." I'm like, "Yeah, so don't overpay for the note." And that's the thing. If it's people aren't gonna get a reperforming, they're not gonna get reperforming. It just happens that way sometimes. Okay. Especially if it's a longer foreclosure state and you don't need that, it's better to sell the asset to somebody else, recover your capitalization, your money, and double down and go, lick your wounds and move on to another deal. Okay. Foreclosure sales, that's going to happen probably 50% of the time, regardless. Like I said, it's going to depend on the state that it's in. We've had, the thing is, you want to start the legal process as soon as 90 days after servicing has officially been transferred. I don't mind giving my borrowers 90 days, but one of the things that we expedite our stuff is that when we close on a note, whether it's an individual or portfolio, within 7 days of the wire going through, even before servicing is transferred, we'll go ahead and send our own hello letter out to the borrowers, because your servicer is going to send its hello letter out. The seller is going to send, "Hey, goodbye. Thank you for not paying us. Now not pay them" letter. Well, we send our own hello letter out saying, "Hey, we just purchased your note from ABC Bank. Your servicer was NAA. Your new servicer is going to be Madison Management. Here's their contact information. Just wanted to let you know. And we show that you're behind by 6 months or 12 months. If you'd like, we'd like to keep you in the property, but you got to reach out to us immediately." So when we're buying a portfolio, that really comes in handy, because if we can get 50% or even one borrower to respond to us to say they want to stay in the house, we can pre-negotiate loan mods or trial payment plans, even deed and liens in some cases, before the paperwork's even transferred and servicing is transferred. That helps us speed up our returns. And the same thing, if we send letters out and we don't get responses back from borrowers, and we don't get the letters back as returned, then we know this borrower is going to be a little bit more difficult. I said, "Okay, fine. We're going to start the legal immediately." But if I got half and respond and say they're wanting to work with us, that saves me on those legal fees to start. I'm like, "Okay, let's go ahead and pre-negotiate these TPPs and send them into Madison, our servicer, so they are aware of when the servicing does come from NAA, whoever the servicer was, that the borrower is ready to rock and roll." We've even, in some cases, had the borrower send in their first trial payment plans, but they send them into us, made out to Madison Management, our servicer. So as soon as they arrive, then we can send those in immediately. It's a great way to speed up your returns. Okay. Now, if you get the note reperforming, right, you get a reperforming, you can then sell the note off as a reperforming note, as a performing note. If you got 6 to 12 months of on-time payments, great. A lot of people will look at those as a reperforming note for you. And you bought it at 50, great. You could sell a reperforming note, 80, 85, 90 cents of unpaid balance at roughly a 10 to 15 yield to somebody. Sometimes low as 8, depends what the underlying interest rate is. But you really need to have your servicing company collecting the payments. If you're self-servicing, it's going to be really hard for you to sell performing note as a performing note to get the max amount of price. So servicing company needed for value. Here's the thing too. If I'm going to do a new loan docs, new loan mod for somebody or new loan assumption, I'm making sure that they pay the servicing fees, not me. Now, if I'm buying a note, most of the time I'm going to pay the servicing fees. But if I'm doing an owner finance deal or restructuring a deal like that, I'm going to have the servicing costs on a performing note paid by the actual borrower. If I'm buying a non-performing note that's not included, I'm paying the servicing costs. Okay, servicing costs is one of the most important. Servicing is one of the most important things you need to have to make the value of either your performing and non-performing more valuable. Now, one thing that's not covered here is bankruptcies. Okay, if a borrower files bankruptcy, that's not a bad thing. It's a good thing with what we do. Yeah, it delays the foreclosure a little bit, but it's either going to be a Chapter 13 or a Chapter 7. Now, Chapter 13, for the most part, is going to be turn into a 5-year loan mod, 5-year payment plan system to get them back on track. A Chapter 7 is going to be kind of a liquidation of debt, where basically, so okay, we're going to finish the foreclosure and go from there. Those are the two biggest things. I don't get upset because if they file a bankruptcy, I have an attorney that I can talk to. Sometimes I've negotiated the mortgage to be removed from the bankruptcy filing because the borrower, okay, we're negotiating something and we can speed that up. Now, if they file Chapter 13 and we come up with a payment plan and they fail to follow through on that payment plan, we can have that bankruptcy plan discharged, have it discharged and start the process or finish up the foreclosure process as always. Now, here's the thing too. If I start the legal process of foreclosure, I can always suspend it for a while, especially if I sound, shot across the bow, hey, we're filing starting with legal. I want to start paying on time. Okay, start paying on time. We'll suspend the foreclosure until we get through the trial payment plan. Now, if you fail in the trial payment plan, we're just going to go ahead and finish the foreclosure. Now, here's a couple things. If you've bought a non-performing note and you've reached out to the borrowers and they haven't paid and you start legal, don't approve the payments. If they start making payments, then you can't foreclose then, because then you're basically agreeing for them to be late. What you have to do is say, okay, we're going to keep your payments in escrow. We're not going to accept your payments until you follow through. Because if you only send $1,000, but you owe me $5,000, you don't follow through in the other $4,000, I'm just going to send that $1,000 back to you, and I'm going to finish the foreclosure process because it's more valuable. But if you accept it, cash the check, put it in an account, and it comes to you. Oh, great. Well, guess what? You just gave them the permission to start paying like that. So you don't have to wait another 90 days and not accept checks for 90 to 120 days to start the legal process again. So keep that in mind. Most people won't tell you that, and that's one of the most important things when it comes to the legal side when it starts to foreclose. Don't accept payments. Don't accept a partial payment. Okay? If you're paying extra each month, you know what you do, that if you're not sending in like a full payment amount, the bank holds that extra payment in escrow till a full payment can come in, and then they apply that payment. Something to keep in mind, everybody. All right. Questions about your different exit strategies? We could do a whole half day on exit strategies at our 3-day workshop. Okay. If it's a vacant asset, you're not going to usually get a trial payment plan or a loan mod. With a vacant asset, you're going to have a deed in lieu, cash or keys, consent to judgment, maybe sometimes a payoff, rarely a loan assumption, but you're rarely going to have the borrower move back into it. I can count on my one hand probably the number of times I've had a vacant property where the borrower moved back into it. Okay. All right, let's move on to the next session. Oh, we got a question here. Wesley asked a question. Are you allowed to hire the short sale agents? Yeah, I will. If they don't have a realtor, I'm not going to have their best friend go in and become the agent. I'll say, okay, great. We're agreeing to a short sale. Great. My realtor in that area is going to be in contact with you to sign off on that to get things rocking and rolling. Okay. Sri asked the question, do I ever make the payoff as new UPB after you foreclose and borrower wants the property back? No, no, I don't. Here's the thing. Why would a borrower that didn't pay me, I'm going to say, okay, stay in the house and let's do a new loan. That's the stupidest thing you could do. Apologize, but it's the same thing. That's why I don't rent back the property to my borrowers. They're not going to pay. All right? Cut the cord. Get rid of them. You foreclose, see you later. Start it with a new borrower. I would, no. And I don't do owner financing. Rarely. I think it's a deadbeat exit strategy if you've ever had to go to a foreclosure. Oh, it's great starting a loan, but you realize you do an owner finance on a property when you could have sold it. You got to have that note seasoned for 12 or more months to even get a decent sale on the note. That's what most people will tell you. Let's do 100% financing. Oh, we're going to do 110% of the value of the property because I'm the bank and I can do that. It doesn't matter. You try to sell a note, they're not going to pay you 110% of the value of the property. They're going to look at the property and then give you a portion of that. So you have to realize a couple things that their owner financing is that's my like worst strategy. Okay, great. Okay, I got to tie up my equity in this property for a year before I can pull it out now at that point. Make more sense to keep it as a rental and then wait 90 days and go get a loan and pull it out. Owner financing, unless somebody's putting some money down, that's the only desirable thing I'll do on owner financing because it doesn't make sense. Velocity of capital, everybody. Oh, yeah, I'm going to create my own new note. Well, great. I just tied up my equity for a year. That's the worst thing you could do. Okay. You know, and I'm not picking on you, Sri. It's a great question because some people talk about that, but it's a recipe for failure. Yeah, you haven't paid me. Okay, I'm going to foreclose. Oh, you want to stay in there? Okay, great. Oh, your mortgage, your rent's going to be like 3 times high. Yeah, you're not going to pay that on time. Oh, I'm going to give you a better deal than you did. No, I would not. I would put them on a trial payment plan, make them bring some skin in the game to stay in that. Because now if you've got to go do a new loan, then you got to pay RMLO costs. And then you're starting back over. No, do a trial payment plan and then a loan monitor for 12 months. So you don't have to go pay origination fees and make sure it's Dodd-Frank compliant. You open yourself up to more issues. If you're going to modify, great. If you're going to do a trial payment plan, then a permanent monitor for 12 months and then go from there. Breaking the cord, you might as well get somebody else doing there at all. Okay. Please. Please, please. I understand there are other people out there teaching owner financing. And it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. It is not the greatest thing since sliced bread for a lot of people. I get phone calls all the time, every week, sometimes daily. Hey, I got a note for sale. Okay, it's an owner finance note. I was like, how much seasoning? Oh, I just did it. Well, I'll offer you 50 cents. What? I'm like, yeah, it has no seasoning. What? No seasoning, 50 cents. And you better be at a 6% interest rate at least. If you're below 8, you're going to take another haircut. So that's the thing. It can be great, but it's the last resort. The last resort, and I've used it in more rural towns. That's the last thing I could do, okay. But I'd rather do a contract for deed if the offer is there. I don't want to do owner financing. It just great. It's great. Yeah, we're gonna do rehab. Well, you're gonna type all your rehab money. How are you gonna make any profits? You can't owner finance if you're borrowing somebody else's money. Now, here's the thing, too, guys. If you foreclose on a property and you got a JV partner on it, put a lien on the property for your JV investor protected. Over encumber the property. Why? I'll give you an example here. We had a property. We've had it's happened twice to me. Properties we foreclosed on and didn't sell at the auction. Okay, in the time frame that we were getting the title taken care of and then to market the property, some unscrupulous investor went out there and slapped a lien, a mechanics lien, for $8,400 on the property. Didn't do any work, didn't touch it. They just saw the foreclosure and saw, oh, clean title. We'll slap $8,400 lien. And they're more likely to want to pay us off versus hire legal counsel. Okay. So if I had done the smart thing and okay, it's worth $100, we foreclose the next day, I slap a $110,000 lien on the property in the borrower's name or my another entity or my attorney's name. That secures. So if somebody would have gone and put an $8,400 lien or a GC that does shitty work or something like that we had to fire, they're a junior lien that can be wiped out via friendly foreclosure. It protects your assets. Like, listen, oh, you filed in a third lien position. I'm sorry, you're not going to get anything. We're just going to do a friendly foreclosure, wipe you out. Okay. See you later. So what I had to do in the one where they filed $8,400, I had to wait 90 days because they wouldn't respond to the title company. They had no documentation about it. And so it took 90 days to clear it off a title from the title company. But that's the two biggest things that we share a lot of is over encumber your REOs, slap a lien on it and the amount that your JV partner's into the deal for, and put a second lien in from your attorney or another entity or a friend to protect your equity. Okay. Not difficult to do. You're just putting like a vendor's lien or mechanics lien or even a second, but you can even credit a second mortgage with 0 payments and 0% interest for a while. Okay.